we need more friendship houses. How did you get into it, Deidra?
So short story. So when I graduated from college, I was a criminal justice major. He's going to take my 3-year-old upstairs. So give me just a second. He'll be right back. But so I was a criminal justice major. And so I really thought, Lord, I'm supposed to work with underprivileged. I'm supposed to work with the underdogs, but no one would ever hire me. Like I tried from the state penitentiary to Hunt's Correctional. I would try probation and parole, and literally nobody would ever call me. And so I started my path in nonprofit, and I began working with mental health clients. And from there, I was blessed to get a position as the director of women and family at the Salvation Army. And I stayed there for several years. And I say all that to say, being at the Salvation Army, it taught me a lot. But I had to say, Lord, I want to be able to work with people before they get trapped in these vicious cycles of addiction and homelessness and bad money management and all this kind of things. So I pray, that God would put me in a position. So I started working for a teen outreach program for a local nonprofit that shall remain nameless. And I worked there for maybe about a month and I got fired. And from there, I just kind of walked on over to community renewal, and I saw the freedom to exercise your faith, whether you were a Christian, whether you were a Muslim, and I appreciated that Mac always said, we are not faith-based, we're faith-driven. That spoke volumes to me because, we're in the South. Most places, if you weren't Christian, then they would kind of just expel you. So I just loved the welcoming environment. And I knew that I had been called to the ministry of teens. I had worked in teen ministry in my church as well. And so I started as the director of Operation Hope. And that's just a position just to work with our middle and high school kids, getting them set up for after high school, creating a path basically for after high school. And the previous community coordinator came to me one day and she said, look, I'm about to leave and go into ministry, and I would love if you would take my spot. And so I said, my husband's a diesel mechanic by trade. This kind of ministry was just not his thing at all. Okay. Like I say, he's a hands guy. He likes to build stuff and stuff like that. And so I came home and I told him, I was like, I have this opportunity to further this ministry that I believe I've been called to. And, thank God he was on board, because we moved out of our home to move into this home, and we were in a safer, we lived in Highland, but it was a safer side of Highland. We were farther down, like close to Fairfield. So, to move over to this area, it was like, man, I grew up in the MLK area. He grew up in Lakeside. We didn't necessarily want to bring our children up in what we grew up in, hearing gunshots and stuff like that at night. So it was a major decision to move from the comfort of our little small home in a safe zone that we felt like, to move here and incur all kinds of, because this is trauma and stress on a different level, moving into this neighborhood. But, I just, the call had to go beyond just going to church every Sunday. So we took the call and we came in.
I feel like we could use more friendship houses. How many are there right now in Shreveport-Bossier? 10? 10, yeah, because I hear gunshots in my neighborhood. Everybody in Shreveport hears gunshots these days. It's hard to get away from them. But I've looked at maps where there's gun incidents, like deaths and injuries with guns, and they're kind of where the friendship houses ain't. It's like if you look around the friendship house, it's pretty peaceful there. How do you guys get established in the neighborhood? Somebody has to build a house and move into it, I guess, and then you go out and
it's kind of just, you got to meet your neighbors, man. I remember when I first started, I used to be a community coordinator. Then I'm not, and I don't know what I'm going to be again. It's kind of like I'm the head of my family. My wife's like the neck, so it's wherever she moves, I kind of go that way. You know what I mean? So I'm basically with her. I enjoy it so much to where it don't even feel like, I learn more from them than I learn from myself, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of stuff they're too emotional, bro. You know what I mean? They get mad at somebody for stepping on their shoes. Like I said, I'm their head, but I would go wherever she.
And he's much more of the people person. Yeah. When you're getting established here, when we're moving here, somebody has to be the person that gets out and talks to the neighbors and the friendly person. That's much more his personality. He's a very friendly, doesn't know a stranger kind of person. I'm more of the administrative brain behind that. So when we first moved into the neighborhood, we have another partner. Like we said, there are 10 friendship houses. There's one house dedicated to kids, and there's one house that's dedicated to middle and high school students. And so those two partner, they mimic, look, I just so happen to have the book here. So we do the Master Plan of Evangelism is a book that we read. But anyway, they mimic Jesus and his disciples. They go out 2 by 2s. You're not supposed to go out by yourself. Right. And so him, big 6-foot black man, and my partner, who's a smaller, dainty white lady, they would go out and just meet neighbors. Artists, you know what I mean? That's a very odd combination there. So when people see them walking down the street, they're like, well, hey, you know, and so they just get out and meet people. One of the benefits for us in Highland, I have to say, is my partner has longevity that is unmatched. My partner has been in this neighborhood 25 plus years. So wow. My partner is grounded. And that's why I say the relationship part is what separates us from other organizations, because she knows who's lived and died, who's moved. She knows that this church has had 3 different pastors in the past 4 or 5. You know, she keeps up with those kind of things. She knows who's sick. And so when you have that type of a partnership, when you can work together, my partner who's older than I am, so she does senior citizen luncheons there. She hosts Celebrate Recovery there. These are the Friendship House works to eliminate barriers. So if transportation is a barrier for you, it's right here in the neighborhood. You can just walk to a senior citizen luncheon. We have family nights here for the parents of our students and neighbors around. Just come on over, enjoy a meal, enjoy fellowship. We're not trying to sell you something. Now, we may have the MLK Center come in and talk to you about diabetes, because that's such a big issue in our neighborhood. And we see so many people who don't get the care that they need or don't have this. So we do bring those resources to our neighbors. But go ahead.
We don't actually do, like I say, it's family oriented. It's not just the kids, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anybody in the family that they having any problem, we do this ARA thing, right? We help people get their high school HACCPs, their GEDs. And I really enjoy that part of it, because it's kind of like you watch the kids come from being kids to adults.
Communication can be many different things. Like me and John, we communicate with this podcast, right? Yep. And, you know, you two, y'all have that kind of unsaid kind of, you know, wink, wink communication that couples have, right? And that's a great thing to have. Let's talk about the communication of the children. And I know one of the things we talked about is getting the kids into a podcast.
Yes. So, kids don't feel like I can only speak for my small group of teens, but they represent a larger group of teens. They don't necessarily feel like they have a voice, you know? Like I said, boys get tired of women telling them what to do. They have a voice. They want to say something that I may not even necessarily understand, you know? And so giving them the platform to communicate their thoughts, their needs, their desires, is the podcast is just kind of how we came upon that. Now, my husband knows that I've been talking about a YouTube channel and all these things, trying to get all this stuff going, because I've tried to give them an avenue to get their voices heard. We go to city council meetings, you know, things like that. And I try to get them all worked up to get in front of city council and express some of these things that you said in club, but they just don't have the courage. They don't have the public speaking skills. Just several things that just, you know, that make them feel intimidated by the whole process. So something like a podcast where they're in the safety, the comfort of our own club. It's just, we started last week doing little video testimonials, just kind of getting them used to even seeing themselves on camera and then going back and listening to your own voice, just stuff like that, you know, because we want to break the mold in giving our teenagers a voice in Shreveport, not on some national level or anything like that. Right here, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, where we are, we want to give our kids a voice so that they can communicate a lot of these conversations and things. They have young kings, and some of the conversations these men have behind closed doors when it's just men. Like, you know, you know, it would have been nice to know some of these things as a girl growing up, or just, you know what I'm saying? So we want to give them a voice, give them a platform, because people are always making decisions for them. If you're familiar with here, there was a lot of drama going on in Southwood, and you got gang violence here and gang violence there. And who listened to the kids? You know, who heard their voice? All we got was what Channel 3 said, or what Channel 12 said, or what Timmy Lane or Love Shreveport said on Facebook. That's all you get. You don't get a voice from them to break down what's going on in our communities.